What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Legacy United Leader Class Beast Wars Universe Tigerhawk. One of the very first Fusors that we've seen introduced into the Generations line in a very long time. This guy was a fusion between the bodies of both Air Razor and Tigertron, and when you translate that into an action figure, it creates for an insanely detailed design. So as we check him out, the face sculpt I think is looking brilliant. The second you kind of smack an expression onto a Transformer, it is quite literally a game changer. So those grinning teeth are looking sick, as so is pretty much all of the sculpted in techie detail. Because he's kind of an amalgamation between two characters, it's cool to spot the similarities. So almost everything white is a callback to Tigertron. You get the Falcon feet up top, and as you spin him around here to the back, he is packing a pair of enormous mechanized wings. The feathery details on these are looking great, and for a leader class, the parts count is pretty impressive. So from the back, he's not hollow in the slightest, but as you spin him around here to the front, I'm gonna be real, guys, I am not the biggest fan of these massive cutouts. Because these face you in robot mode, I really wish they had gone above and beyond to kind of fill these in, but with the exception of that, a fantastic update. Makes me super pumped for the upcoming Silver Bolt, because they really haven't stylized this guy too much. Although one thing which I definitely think is worth bearing in mind is that during reverse transformation, these pistons are a separate piece. They have a tendency to quite literally catapult across the room. Because this guy costs around $50, I don't think it would have been too much to have asked for a nice pin to have been shot through these, just to prevent any pieces going missing. But if you bear that in mind, you should be pretty much good to go. Now, because this guy was basically a super weapon created by the Vok, sent down to wipe out Megatron, let's check out what weaponry he is packing. And up first, we see the inclusion of these feathered clubs, which have been really nicely detailed. That metallic silver overspray is looking sick. Now, because this guy has zero wrist articulation, you gotta fake it until you make it. If you mistransform him, you can kind of have the swords tilting downwards, which from certain angles I think works a treat. But the second you're gonna turn that to the side, unfortunately the illusion is very quickly lost. Weapon storage though is great. Both of them basically become a part of those huge mechanized wings, so the integration is seamless, but still those nasty ass hollow gaps definitely aren't doing this guy any favors at all. He also comes packing with a pair of blasters, which from the side pretty much look like a pair of ice cube trays. I mean, these things are so damn hollow. Check out those massive gaps that we have from both sides on both of them. So yeah, they are a pathetic excuse for cannons. But again, their integration almost makes them redeemable, as they do become a pair of animation accurate over the shoulder blasters, but they are also posable, so you can move them up and down. I also believe during some sequences, Tigerhawk would use them as kind of underslung weapons, so that's definitely pretty cool. And then the final weapon this guy comes packing with would be a tiny wrist-mounted blaster. And like it says on the tin, it can be seamlessly smacked onto the wrist. So weaponry-wise, for a modern leader class, this guy's packing a bunch. But some of those cost-cutting measures that can be seen, I think are letting some of them down. You know, if DNA Design decide to whack out a surprise gap filler kit, then I definitely think it's going to make this guy look a whole lot better. Because with the exception of some of those nasty-ass gaps, this guy really is looking pretty bang on to how he appeared on the show. Now, checking out Tigerhawk's posability, there are some questionable design choices here. So, up first, at the base of the wing, this can move forwards and backwards. It can then hinge in the middle, which is decent. The wings can be rotated up to a pretty decent range, so you can kind of recreate the shields that he would sometimes use to protect himself with in the show. So, the wings are pretty great. In terms of the head, though, this is a straight up fail. It will look down, but it cannot look up at all. This guy was near enough always in flight. He even died in flight. So, what a massive miss for him not to even look up in the slightest. I think that is such a fail. It will look side to side and can also rotate left to right. The shoulders are interesting, especially this side, so they'll move both forwards and backwards no problem. The scalp of the tiger head can hinge out the way to allow the shoulder to kick out. Now that's fine, but check this out. Bang! The bicep joint so easily detaches away from its actual connector that not only from the front does it look super ugly, but it takes a ridiculous amount of force to kind of pull this down so it stays tabbed in. No idea why it has to be this tight, nor why it doesn't actually click into place, so that sucks. But this side, however, has no issues at all, so I really wish they had designed it similarly to this side. There's then a bicep cut, an elbow bend, no wrist articulation on a character who includes a pair of swords. There is no reason for this either. He's a $55 leader class. They easily could have engineered these to match G2 Laser Prime, so that is really bad. In terms of the hip skirt, this can move out to the side, and the waist joint is decent, although it does stop once you reach a certain point, but definitely not to the point where it would compromise any poses. The hips, surprisingly, are on ratchet joints, so they will kick forwards. They will then kick back roughly to that far. Out to the sides, there is a thigh cut, slightly past 90 here at the knee, and he does include a gap filler, although again, this kind of ends just before the knee stops bending, so why they couldn't have extended this just a tiny bit more to make this look complete really does just baffle me. And then finally for the ankles, these can rock side to side to a decent range. So articulation wise, you know, it's definitely not terrible by any means, but considering this guy was always in flight, he definitely should have had a better range looking upwards, and it's a leader class, he really should have included a pair of wrist joints. But to see what he is truly capable of, now let's put him through the pose test. Now, checking out some size comparisons, on the right hand side we have Tigerhawk's arch nemesis, Transmetals 2 Megatron, who ultimately was the reason for Tigerhawk's demise. You know, this guy really didn't last any more than I think 3 or 4 episodes, but scale wise this definitely does match what we saw from the series. These really are awesome companion pieces to go alongside one another. Here is how he stacks up alongside one half of his fusion. We have Voyager class Kingdom Tigertron. My only hope is that Tigerhawk doesn't discolor as badly as this guy has, because check out how nasty and ugly some of those yellowed pieces are. One thing which I did think was pretty cool is when they were designing Tigerhawk, they did go back to the original texture files of both Tigertron and Airazor and basically pulled some of those details and integrated them into this figure. So it's pretty awesome that they've kind of gone all in on the fusion idea. The details, the texture that we've got on this guy does match up very nicely with what we've seen here from Kingdom Tigertron. And then here he is with the second and final part of the fusion, Kingdom Deluxe Class Airazor. Now, checking out Tigerhawk's transformation, the best way that I could describe it would be simply chaotic. There are so many things happening at once that at one point you will think, damn, this thing is a hot mess. But trust me guys, I'm going to show you the steps in as much detail as possible. So, to kickstart things off with, you're going to want to come around here to the back, angle the wings out like this, really and truly just to get them out of the way. So, they should be positioned exactly how I have them here. Then what you'll want to do is come here to the shoulders, hinge these up. Take these little forearm gaps, slide them down, then rotate the fists inside, snap this into place. Now specifically for this side that has the beast head, you're going to want to rotate at the bicep so this slot is now facing inwards like that. Then what we can do is bring this shoulder joint down, do the same here more or less on this side, so slide that gap filler down, slide the fist inside, snap this into place, and bring that down for now. Then what I like to do is take the hip skirt, hinge this here up. You'll then want to bend forwards at Tigerhawk's knee like this, spin around here to the side, take this purple section, and rotate this here all the way around to the back. Then we can take the robot foot and compress this inside like that. Take this purple spike piece, fold it in until it does snap into place. Take the beast foot, fold this forwards. Do the same here for this side. So bend here at the knee. Make sure the knee retains this position because this purple piece is super tight. 9 times out of 10, it will want to take the knee along with it. But just slide that there back. Take the bot mode foot, slide this here inside. Flip this purple piece forwards, snap this piece here forwards, make sure it actually clicks into place like that. Then we can bring this piece here down for now. Then what we'll do is we'll take the eagle feet, detach them away from the shoulders, and as we check him out from the side, these actually slide into these slots. So you want to make sure they are detached away from these slots. Do the exact same here for this side, so actually pull those away like that. Then we can take this whole white section and detach it slightly away, just like this. Now it will peg back in just a sec, but this really is to just help things get out of the way. So then we're going to spin around here to the front, detach the shoulders away from these little white tabs. So do the same here for this side, hinge this upwards. Then what you'll do is you'll take this chest plate, hinge this here out to the sides. This really is where things can begin to get a little chaotic. Then we're going to take these little falcon legs and swivel these here around to the front. So do the exact same here for this side, swivel them all the way around. Now you'll want to take the robot mode head, rotate it so the back is now facing the front. Then what we'll do is lift this piece up and split these legs here right down the middle. Now for this, you're basically going to want to angle them so they completely get out of the way. So at the moment, he should be looking like this, because what we will do is take the head and the chest piece and bring this here all the way down. Now this will actually soft click there into place. So at the moment, this is how Tigerhawk should look. Then we can take his robot mode head and slide it inside this cavity. Then you'll want to spin around here to the side. Make sure this backpack is detached, because we're then going to rotate at this purple piece just like that. With that now rotated, then we can reattach the backpack so it will lock in as secure as it was in its robot form. Then what we'll do is we'll take this arm here, compress it down slightly, take this panel, fold it forwards, rotate this section here around, completely compress that. Now, on the inside of the bicep is a hollow gap. This is actually going to double as a slot for transformation, as it's going to slide into that purple tab. So, snap that in there, completely compress that all the way in. It should lock in super securely. Then what we can do is line these little slots up with these brown tabs. So, just snap that in there and do the exact same here for this side. Line that up, compress, and you will form the chest plate of the beast mode. This piece will then fold over the top. Then what we can do, this can be kind of challenging, is you're going to want to bring this section here down. Now this little white slot is going to slide into this brown tab. It does take quite a lot of unnecessary force, but trust me, it will peg in there super securely. Then what you'll do is kind of flip up to the top. As you guys can see, we have this slot on the forearm that's going to slide into this tab. So just kind of bring this here back until it does snap there into place. Once that's complete, we can then take this section, snap that into place, and kind of bring this here up. So at the moment, everything should look like this. Then what we can do is take these pieces, bring these up. Now these slots are going to slide into those tabs, and this circular port is going to slide into that slot. So line all of this up, snap that into place, and rotate this piece here forwards. Do the exact same here for this side. So line all of that up, snap that into place, and then for a few finishing touches, you basically just begin compressing the rear legs of the beast mode. Make sure that everything is slid into its proper position. And bang! Here we have Tigerhawk fully transformed into his beast mode. Now, despite how chaotic and crazy that transformation could get during some steps, the beast mode is actually quite solid. Although, because this is Transformers Legacy and Hasbro is no stranger when it comes to kind of putting their own creative spin on original designs, I maybe would have liked to have seen them take creative license when it comes to the design of the legs. Now, I know it's animation accurate to have the front set be bigger than the back legs, but because this guy is a leader class and when you fully extend the wings has an enormous wingspan, the legs are super unstable. You know, they're really small, they're only on ball joints and pin joints, so posability wise is super limited. Ratchet joints, at least in the hips, I don't think would have got a miss, but personally I would have rather had them just been bigger in general. But as we check out the details, you know, the face looks cool, definitely would benefit from a nice wash over the top. He even has some jaw articulation, you know, the shoulders can move forwards and backwards, and he even includes kind of ankle rocker for the front beast leg, so that's cool. Unfortunately, the same can't be said here for the rear ones. These are more or less just static, you know, they only move forwards and backwards, no tiltage, which I really think would have helped in stabilizing this guy on the ground. But it is cool how you can take the cannons and kind of flip these forwards. That was a look that we saw in the TV show, and they're also blast effect compatible, so when it comes to taking on Megatron, this guy shouldn't have any issues at all. Which, talking of, here we have the Legacy Transmetals to Megatron, and it's great that in the show they fought as much in their beast modes as they usually did in their robot mode. So just by going from that, we're able to gather a great sense of scale, and these two leaders seem to match up perfectly to what was actually shown on screen. Here is how he sizes up alongside a slightly more manageable comparison, Kingdom Tigertron. And then finally, here we have Kingdom Airraiser, and that texture similarity can be seen again, especially when you compare both sets of the Beast Wings. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Legacy United Leader Class Tigerhawk. Overall, it's a decent update, but unfortunately there are just a few small things which I think hold this guy back from being great. The articulation is okay, but for a leader class it should be much better. Why this guy doesn't feature any wrist rotation is just beyond me. He's a character which can also fly. He flew so much in the show, so why the head isn't able to be posed upwards, again, I think sucks. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the cost-cutting measures either. You know, the hollowness in the wings, and in particular in those cannons, I think is straight up ugly. The transformation the first few times you convert him, I will be real, is an absolute nightmare. It's super chaotic. There are so many things going on at once, yet they need to happen for future steps to go on. So it's just something that you have to persevere with. But once everything clips in, the beast mode is surprisingly pretty bang on to how it appeared on the show. Although again, I have a few issues. You know, those back beast legs really should have been on ratchet joints. Because this is a leader class, those wings are kind of hefty. There is a lot of weight for two tiny ball joints to hold up, and honestly, it makes posing him in beast mode an absolute nightmare. In terms of a recommendation, if you are a Beast Wars fan, then this is definitely the best Tigerhawk that has ever been released. But if you are patient, if you can just wait a few months, I think this guy would be a lot better if you can find him at a discount or on sale. I don't think the full $55 is worth it, especially as there are quite a few cost-cutting measures, as I mentioned. I would love to get your thoughts on this Tigerhawk down in the comment section below. What do you guys think? I want to thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, transform and roll out!